Well, it's definitely earned me more money. Just like Decatur, they were paying 70 cents more for summer corn there in August. We were hauling corn 100 mile for 40 cents, and we're making 30 cents, and I wouldn't even known that price was probably on there. I wouldn't have thought of calling Decatur, but when you go to the Grower's Edge page, then it takes all that running around out of it for you.
Good afternoon, welcome to GrainTV. My name is Cody Bills. Today is Friday the 15th for the weekly wrap-up. Let's turn over to the grain hedge trading platform and see where we closed off the day. Corn trading down 3 cents, soybeans down 4 1/4, and wheat in Chicago here down 3 3/4 cents on the day. Let's talk a little bit about Russian wheat. Very interesting piece of news. Looks as though Russia announced that the export tariff that they've announced earlier on in the year to try and slow down the wheat exports, they're lifting that until January 1st. They'll have a better formula, but it looks as though they have lifted it. Analysts are anticipating this lifting expectations for their wheat exports by about 1 million metric ton. When you look at the chart here for wheat, you'll notice that we had huge short covering here yesterday. Today, we just didn't have the kind of follow through. Overhead, we did have some resistance up there. The 100-day moving average right around 523. That seemed to offer up some resistance and kind of keeping the market from really moving a whole lot higher here this Friday. Let's take a quick look at NOPA crush numbers, which were announced at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time today. You'll notice that crush came out at 150.363 million bushels. This is over last year, which was right around 132.6 million bushels. So this is a significant improvement year over year. This is actually a record for April crush. Analysts were expecting to see 147.827 million bushels crushed here. So this was very positive for soybeans, but it just didn't have enough. It wasn't positive enough to really support this market. We already did see in the WASDE report this week that the USDA revised crushings up 10 million bushels there. So soy oil came in on the low side of analyst expectations here, 1.441 billion pounds compared to expectations of around 1.461 billion pounds. So a little bit lower than analysts expected here for that soy oil. Let's talk a little bit about soybeans. Take a look at July soybeans. You'll notice this chart really top left to the bottom right here. That's a downtrend. It looks as though we're going to retest some lows that we set back there in April. I wouldn't be surprised if we work our way through them and start approaching those lows that we set back there late September, very early October. But you'll notice, take a look at the different, we still have a ways to go before we get down to those September, October lows. But with new crop soybeans, it's just not the case. We're already down near those lows. We're already down near that 930 price level that was the lows back there in late September, early October. So keep in mind that next week it's very possible that we end up breaking through those lows. If we do, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a significant amount of stops underneath there that would be triggered, and we may get an impulse lower. So guys, just be very cautious right now. There's not a lot fundamentally here to hold up soybeans. We had the U.S. Climate Prediction Center announcing yesterday that there's about a 90% chance that we see El Nino in the northern hemisphere continue throughout the summer, about an 80% chance that it continues throughout the remainder of the year in 2015. That to me puts a little bit more pressure on corn, soybeans, and wheat here. In El Nino years, typically what we see is a cooler, a wetter environment, and that's just a better growing condition here for yields. That to me makes me a little bit nervous. The ending stocks could grow even from the lofty amount that was set there early on in the WASDE report early on this week. We also see Informa. Informa came out and they pegged U.S. soybean acres here about 2.5 million acres above what the USDA is forecasting for soybeans. And so there's another piece of information. Yes, you may not necessarily say Informa is spot on, but the fact that they come out and they're that high, that much higher than the USDA, that also has me a little bit concerned. We saw soybean speculators increase their net short position by 9,842 contracts here in the week to May 12th. So I am a little bit concerned here for soybeans, new crop soybeans in particular. I think there's a little bit of downside potential there, and it may be worthwhile for producers to get out there and possibly even try and price some of this crop, try and protect some of that downside, because let me tell you, if you fall through that level and you trigger some stops that were back there in September and October, we could have quite a little impulse lower here. Guys, that wraps up today's show. Oh, excuse me, it is Friday, so we do talk about the cash market. So let's go over that today. Not a huge change in the cash market here this week. You'll notice that for soybeans, the average basis change was up a penny. We did see a little bit of an increase here along the river, average up a penny. We did see along the Gulf, it was actually up 3 cents. So when you look at the river for soybeans, the drop in price this week, we did see a little bit of an improvement in basis, but not significantly. When you look at corn basis, on the other hand, basis was unchanged, but we saw some of the major sectors here actually decline when it comes to basis. We saw ethanol down a penny. We saw the river markets down on average 3 cents, and the Gulf down 2 cents here this week. I think what we saw is when the market rallied here following that WASDE report, we saw basis drop in a number of key facilities, just unable to keep up with that rally there in price. That to me is not a very bullish sign. But other than that, guys, now it wraps up today's show. Thanks a lot for tuning in. If you have any questions about what we covered here today, please give the office a call. The number is 877-472-4607. Thanks a lot. Have a safe weekend. We'll see you here on Monday.